Is reading music hard? Reading music can be overwhelming, but often sheet music looks harder to play than it actually is because it combines the elements of music all at once. The written elements of music are rhythm, pitch, musical expression, and the map. Learn about each element and it will make reading music much easier. Reading music is easier when you know the basic elements of music. Often subjects like mathematics or reading and writing are taught by starting simple and then getting more and more complex. There's always a danger you'll miss something and slip behind the rest of the class and never catch up. Written music is not like that. There are a limited number of variables within each musical element. Unlike other languages, they don't change much over time. Here is a list of the basic elements you need to know. Rhythm. You need to know the note and rest values. These are things such as crotchets, quarter notes, eighth notes, semiquavers, etc. There's only 8 of them. Time signatures. There's only about 9 commonly used time signatures. Modifiers. Now, modifiers are things that you put next to a note or near a note that changes how long the note is. And there are really only 2. There's ties and there's dots. Tempo. This is how fast or slow the music is, whether it's speeding up, slowing down, or steady state. The next basic element you need to know is pitch. And pitch is written down on the stave or staff. That's the lines, the 5 lines that you see on manuscript paper. And so there's lines, spaces, and ledger lines. Then there's the note names. Now we only use the first few letters of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. That's all we use. And for pitch, we also use modifiers. There's only 5 of them. That's the sharp, flat, the natural sign, and double sharp and double flat. There are clefs. There's only 3 commonly used ones, and really day to day, there's only 2 that we use, the treble clef and the bass clef. Now, key signatures. They look scary, but there's only 15 different key signatures, from no sharps and no flats to 7 sharps or 7 flats. And then there's chords. Now, chords are just 2 or more pitches playing at the same time. And the variables are the number of notes that are played together in a chord and how far apart they are from each other. The next element is musical expression, and that's written down in music in various ways. First of all, there's dynamics. Now, this is the louds and the softs, and that's written down either with words, usually in Italian, or in symbols. Articulation. Now, articulation is like the texture of music, and it can be short and spiky, like staccato, which is just a little dot under the note, or it can be smooth, which we call legato, and there are also symbols for that as well. And there's a few other symbols, but not many. The next thing is phrasing. Now, phrasing is sometimes written down in music, and it indicates musical sentences, and that's often done with a long curved line over a number of notes. Sometimes phrasing is indicated with commas or dots, and that indicates where someone would breathe naturally. And also with musical expression, written down in music are general style directions. For instance, they might say moderate groove at the start of a piece, and that's just a general direction as to how to play the music. The last musical element you need to know about are musical signs, which I call directions, and they're part of what I call a map, a musical map. And they're very important because you can get lost if you don't know what they mean. So they're things like, and there's not many. There's a repeat sign, da capo, dal segno al fine, the repeat bar sign, where you just repeat one bar, and the coda. Here are some more tips for reading music. Simplify. Simplify sheet music by reading the rhythm first. Clap it out so you can get the feel. Then read the pitch, the melody and the chords. Practice tricky chord shifts or melodic leaps before playing the whole song. Each instrument brings its own challenges to reading music. For example, the flute usually has to read many ledger lines above the treble clef and above the stave. Guitarists find certain key signatures more physically difficult than others. Singers find big leaps in the melody very challenging. It just takes experience and practice to get used to these challenges. I really wish I knew much earlier in my career as a musician that there is a difference between what music is difficult to read versus what music is difficult to play. Some music looks really hard and actually it's not that hard to play. And some music looks really simple, but to play it properly is quite difficult. My next tip is to start slow. The quickest way to learn any piece of sheet music is to give your brain a chance to make all the necessary and correct connections. If you don't give yourself enough time to absorb what you are reading, you will solidify any errors. You'll then have to unlearn the mistakes and learn it all over again. My next tip is to look for patterns. Finding any patterns in the music that may be present in the rhythm will help your brain read quicker. Repetitive patterns in the melody and chords help you with the structure of the overall song. For instance, a chorus or 3 or 4 verses. Zoom in on the tricky bits first. It's so tempting to stumble through the whole song, ignoring the mistakes. That is a sure way to get feeling frustrated with your own playing. Also, you'll be cementing in the wrong notes. Instead, pull apart and analyse the most difficult to read notes first. That will remove that barrier to reading the piece of music fluently. My next tip is to think in the right key. Play or sing the scale that belongs to the key signature first. Play the main chord for that key signature too. You can usually figure out whether it's the major or minor version of the key signature by looking at the last note or chord of the song. Look at the key signature while you're playing the scale and look through the music to see if there are any key changes. My next tip is to feel the time signature. Check out the time signature. Count out a few bars in your head. For instance, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for a piece that's in 3/4. So you can anticipate what the feel is going to be. In other words, get into the groove. My next tip is to figure out the musical map. Pop music is notorious for complicated maps. However, there are only about 6 essential symbols that you need to learn, which are listed above. Then check through the whole piece. Are there any repeat signs? If so, where do they repeat back to? Do you need to jump to the coda at some stage? You might have to use a pencil to highlight the symbols so that you don't miss them. My next tip is to listen to the recording while you're reading the score. This is a powerful tool to help you read music. Sit down with the score and a cup of coffee and read through while listening to the piece. Even if the music looks too difficult, try to let your eyes just skim across the music. Do this several times. You can go back and look closer at the difficult bits later. Make sure you're listening to great musicians. Imagine yourself playing the music. Get specific. Imagine you're actually playing the notes, even if the piece is super difficult. This will program your brain to tell you that you can play it. My next tip is to practice silently. This is perhaps the most powerful way to not only help you improve your sight reading, but also your playing or singing. All you need to do is sit and read through the music and imagine what it sounds like. This is great because you can do silent practice anywhere, even on the way to work, on the bus or the train. Whether you have never before seen or heard the piece, you've been working on it for a while, or you know exactly how it sounds, this will help you with your reading and ear training. My next tip is, if you play by ear, learn to read the rhythm first. Having taught rhythm exclusively in my music classes for a couple of years, I can now understand why musicians who play everything by ear have so much trouble reading music. Their playing level, particularly their sense of rhythm, is way above their music reading level. It's like being able to recite long tracts of Shakespeare with ease while struggling to read The Cat in the Hat. Why syncopation is important. Instinctive musicians who play by ear can play complex syncopation, that is, playing against the regular beat, with ease. Yet the written version cannot be more complicated. This is true whether you are a singer, a guitar player, a keyboard player, or a drummer. Nearly every piece of popular music has syncopation, no matter what the genre, whether it's country, pop, jazz, metal, etc. The opposite is true for musicians like myself. This means from the classical world, who have to read just about everything and can't even play Happy Birthday by ear. We have a step-by-step course on rhythm. We've developed an online course which takes you through each element of rhythm, plus a deep dive on syncopation. We cover all the above elements of music except for pitch. There's even a section on polyrhythms. They're easy once you know how they work. And that's the end of my tips and tricks on how to read music easier. I do hope you give it a go. It's worth it, and the benefits you'll see straight away, because you'll be able to read more of the music you love and play more of the music you love. My name's Anne Plummer, and I'll see you next time.